GoFundMe, the return of goose eggs. In a stunning development, no one won the GoFundMe crown for Saturday, with a combined $0 and 0 cents taken in for all of the campaigns, including our own ongoing expenses campaign, which went dead for the first time for the month. 7 days of goose eggs, of course, means the end of this column. While we're elated that it's day one of goose eggs, we're also in search of more crowdsourcing campaigns by First Amendment auditors to expand the list to provide a better view of the auditing world. If you know about campaigns on GoFundMe, GiveSendGo, or other platforms by auditors that we're not covering, please leave the links to the campaigns over in our general chat channel on our Discord server. That said, it was again no surprise that none of the auditors brought in donations for the third straight day. With the heat wave gripping the United States right now, auditors are less prone to going outside to audit in the heat. Auditors are also less prone to work on videos or do anything with the heat. A quick check by the auditors on our list finds little new content and nothing that gives the impression that anything is coming that will bring substantial promotions to their campaigns or their channels. As far as the GoFundMe accounts themselves, let's examine the biggest of the active YouTubers with Sean Paul, Long Island Audit's Ria's multiple GoFundMe accounts. Long Island Audit's unlawful arrest and constitutional rights violation campaign sits at $2,326 and last saw a $25 donation 12 days ago. His Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign is worse. While it has a total of $51,186, it hasn't had a donation in 17 days. The LIA-run Fund Legal Defense Against Unlawful Arrest campaign hasn't had a donation in 22 days and is teetering on extinction. Also troubled are his help with criminal defense attorney for the case, which hasn't had a donation in 6 months, his help LIA with legal fees to fight Tyrant's lawsuit, which hasn't had a donation in 3 months, and his help with the billboard truck purchase to expose Tyranny Fund, which sits at $11,621 out of a $20,000 goal and hasn't had a donation in 17 days. With someone on the level of Long Island Audit struggling, as he has an active channel, a huge subscriber base, and has been putting out near daily content, the rest of the auditors should be worried about getting donations in this market. The first total goose egg in a while, it seems, is odd. But we can't give up now. 6 more days of frightening insecurity and inadequate compensation until this column goes away. We can do it! If we just pull together, take a deep breath, and oh yeah. If you'd like to keep our new YouTube channel stay up and keep us reporting new stories every day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Prosecution answers Karen Reed motion. District Attorney Michael Morrissey filed a response to a defense motion in the Karen Reed murder case on Friday, urging the judge in the case to deny the motion that would see 2 of the 3 charges against Reed dismissed before the start of the retrial in the case. A mistrial was declared 2 weeks ago in the case, as the jury could not move forward on convicting Reed of any of the charges beyond reasonable doubt. After Reed's camp agreed to the mistrial, Alan Jackson, Reed's lead attorney and rumored romantic interest, filed a motion stating that they had heard from multiple members of the jury that the jury had voted to exonerate Reed of 2 of the charges. Jackson's campaign hit all the major pro-Reed outlets and TMZ and Fox News with the word that her defense believed that Reed could not be tried again on the 2 charges, second-degree murder and leaving the scene of a personal death/injury caused by the driver. The defense claimed that the mistrial was sudden, brief, and unexpected, even though there were 2 days of deliberations with notes from the jury that they were hopelessly deadlocked. Attorney David Giannetti argued both times for the defense in favor of the mistrial, claiming that the jury had enough time to deliberate to come to a conclusion that a mistrial was warranted. Morrissey argues that despite the defense claims of multiple jurors making unsolicited contact with them, the defense accepted the mistrial and no verdict was rendered by the jury. In fact, the jury being hung was the reason for the mistrial, and despite claims otherwise, the jury indicated that they could not complete their job and render a verdict. No affidavits or statements have been offered by the defense by members of the jury to back the defense's claims. The jurors' identities are also being kept from the public for another week due to safety concerns. Morrissey further pointed out that notes from the jury did not indicate agreements on the two charges that the defense is now claiming were unanimous decisions in favor of Reed. The notes indicated otherwise, that the jury was deeply divided and could not find a way to move forward in the case. The defense, when given a chance to inquire about the charges the jury was deadlocked on, declined to do so, according to Morrissey, and the defense pressed for a Tui Rodriguez instruction to force the jury into one more attempt to deliberate. After the mistrial was declared, the defense did not object to the hearings set to discuss the retrial, nor did it act to attempt to reopen the case until after the members of the jury supposedly came forward. Morrissey argued that the Commonwealth should be able to retry Reed on all of the charges, as a mistrial was declared and accepted by the defense. He also argued that the defense's claims of double jeopardy cannot come into play, as Reed's trial ended without a verdict. A hearing on the motion is set for July 22, 2024. Benson braves heat. Can't find Phil. The 60-something-year-old homeless man named Phil was the subject of a search by Regan Benson on Friday as she risked the high heat in Denver to go look for the man during the heat wave that is gripping the nation. Benson was armed with bottles of frozen water, chilled water, and electrolyte packs on Friday as she searched for a friend in downtown Denver. She had intended to pick Phil up to check his mail, as he was still expecting documents to help end his homelessness. The YouTuber explained that Phil still hadn't received a copy of his birth certificate that he had requested several months ago. He was also awaiting a replacement copy of his Social Security card. Without both documents, Phil was unable to be placed in a slot for housing last month and ran the risk of losing another opportunity for permanent housing that had just come up. Benson claimed that Phil was no longer a priority for the city of Denver, as he had been on the streets for over 15 years now, and the city considered him too old to focus on. She returned to her idea that Denver is setting up older members of the homeless population to die by making it harder to be put into permanent shelter, as most of the older homeless people do not have documentation. She also briefly raged about the female police officer in Inglewood who called Benson a self-proclaimed First Amendment auditor in a recent police report on Benson's encounter with the homeless woman. The activist warned that the officer needed to learn not to mess with her, as she was fresh off of a $130,000 win from settling multiple lawsuits with the Denver Police Department, and seemed out to get a payout from the Inglewood Police Department as well. Claiming that she encountered the officer on Thursday, she said that she called herself a dirty cop watcher to the officer while calling the officer a bitch and a dumb rock. Benson was approached by several homeless people during her activities in the heat on Friday. She had a brief altercation with a homeless man wearing a heavy winter coat in the 100-degree heat. She attempted to give the man a t-shirt and bottled water, which saw the man initially tell her to go violate herself before the man calmed down and accepted her offerings. The dirty cop watcher recapped her encounters with Phil over the years and seemed saddened that he was the last survivor of 3 men she had previously housed in a hotel during the winter of 2022. While the other 2 men have died, one's ashes being worn as part of a necklace Benson occasionally wears, she temporarily showed human emotions before catching herself and returning to her usual attitude. Ultimately, Benson's car began to overheat, and she gave up on her search for Phil. His quest for his mail will have to wait for another live stream, as she bid her audience one last goodbye before shutting down the stream. Flashback July 14, 2023, Turtle Boy holds emergency live stream. Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney held an emergency live stream Friday afternoon to address rumors posted in the Justice for John and Karen Facebook group, T-shirt sales in support of alleged murderess Karen Reed, and his involvement as a witness in the case. The award-winning journalist started the broadcast by admitting that he was no longer acting as a journalist in the case of Karen Reed, a Massachusetts woman accused of hitting her police officer boyfriend with her car and leaving to die in the snow, and Kearney was now an activist who was making a living, in part, off of the work that he has done to support the case. Kearney indicated that he had a deep love for the Facebook group, but he took issue with the administrators who removed messages from people that claimed to have taken part in a federal grand jury investigation of the case, stating that when the messages are left up, he can contact the people directly and report on more information about what the grand jury is looking into. The YouTuber stated that leaking information from a grand jury has never made an impact on a federal grand jury, and that users of the Facebook group were deluding themselves if they thought their messages had any impact on the case itself. Kearney went on to claim that he was now part of the case, as he was asked to sign an affidavit confirming that he had talked to witness Mike McCabe's brother Sean, who allegedly implicated himself and the judge in the case in wrongdoing. Stating that he was a linchpin to the case, whose reporting was primarily responsible for Karen Reed raising $116,000 for a defense fund, Kearney requested that the public stop sending him information and their thoughts about theories on the case. Kearney claimed that he had talked to witnesses directly, and that if he told anyone to trust me, they should trust him without question, as he knows things that he cannot reveal at this time. Kearney addressed critics of his fundraising efforts for Reed, stating that he kept half of the $2,060 raised for her in a recent fundraiser, and that he kept all the money raised through the sales of the free Karen Reed t-shirts on his website. The YouTuber claimed that he kept all the profits from the approximately 50 t-shirts that he has sold, as this was now his primary job, and he would continue to raise money off the case in order to support his family and continue his activism on the behalf of Karen Reed. GoFundMe, DeCastro's grand return. In a surprise move, Jose Chili DeCastro announced a new GoFundMe campaign during his first live stream back after being released from being wrongly incarcerated in the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center. The Justice for All Legal Battle for Accountability Fund dominated the take on Sunday, reaching 4% of its $100,000 goal in a matter of hours, with a total take for the day of $3,621. As expected, DeCastro's own GoFundMe accounts benefited from the announcement of his new campaign. With his lawyer fund only, all dollars go to Lawyers Fund, getting a $100 boost for the day, bringing it to 83% completion, and his legal fund, Donation Fund, Help People Fund, getting a $20 boost, bringing that one to a 77% completion rate. DeCastro's Legal Defense Fund, Crime Scene Tape, Illegal Arrest Campaign, took in no donations, and remains at 8% complete. As DeCastro goes, so does the market, with a random $5 donation to Sean Paul Long Island Audits Rios' Fund Legal Defense Against Unlawful Arrest campaign, bringing it to an 82% completion rate. That fund stands at $16,326 out of a $20,000 goal. DeCastro promised during his return live stream that for every dollar pledged to his new campaign, he will match the donations and will spend that money on a massive party in Las Vegas, Nevada, once he receives a 7-figure settlement from the state of Nevada following planned lawsuits against Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman, Officer Brandon Bork of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, Deputy District Attorney Agnes Botello, the state of Nevada, Clark County, Nevada, random guards at the Clark County Detention Center who he doesn't like, Judge Michelle Levitt, and of course the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. The YouTuber claimed that he would rent hotel rooms in Las Vegas for everyone who supports his GoFundMe campaign in the eventual party, and will be personally thanking every donor from all of his crowdsourcing campaigns during his time in jail. Displaying the power of crowdsourcing, DeCastro cited his campaigns as the reason he did not lose his car, his office, and his livelihood livelihood during the time in the detention center. DeCastro earned $49,887 from his 3 known GoFundMe campaigns during his incarceration, despite claiming expenditures over $77,000 for his legal expenses. No mention was made of YouTubers Wanda Meese or Garrett Press with Ranker Van Nett, who DeCastro had previously pledged to fully fund their legal fees through crowdfunding. Despite DeCastro's massive take on Sunday, with $3,621 earned during his live stream and not reflecting the thousands of dollars made in super chats and super stickers during the event, the nagging feeling remains that DeCastro did not strike when the iron was hot and cost himself money. Waiting several days for his first live stream may have appeased his ego, as he needed to work out, get a haircut, and get his front tooth fixed. These things could have been accomplished in a day and still brought him in a bigger take from the crowdfunding donations if he had gone live closer to his release. DeCastro also made the mistake of not giving out his actual URL to his new GoFundMe campaign. He displayed the page of the campaign during the live stream, did not provide the URL. Keen observers had to search GoFundMe to find it, which again cost the YouTuber precious donations from a rookie mistake that we've been repeating he needed to address for months now. From here, it will be interesting to see what the fund does. As Elmo's recent failed Bring Back Auditing America campaign started with big day one gains recently, but immediately fell off a cliff and was suspended by the YouTuber after being frozen for a week after the initial interest waned. DeCastro pocketed $3.6K, a great take for a first day, but it'll be interesting to monitor as day one interest fades. If you'd like to join our daily hate watcher who keeps us reporting on the GoFundMe markets every day, welcome back, Anonymous. We do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. The return of Jose Chile DeCastro again. Jose Chile DeCastro promised lawsuits, retribution, and a massive party in Las Vegas on Sunday during his first live stream back after being released from the Clark County Detention Center. DeCastro promised lawsuits against Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman, Officer Brendan Bork of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, Deputy District Attorney Agnes Bothello, the state of Nevada, Clark County, Nevada, random guards in the Clark County Detention Center who he doesn't like, Judge Michelle Levitt, and of course the Las Vegas Police Department during the live stream. At least one lawsuit will be filed in federal court, with DeCastro alluding that the lawsuit will include charges of malicious prosecution, inhumane treatment, cruel and unusual punishment, perjury, depriving his family from entering a courtroom, torture, keeping him from having a book and pencil while being in the hole, putting him on extended lockdown for standing up and grabbing a book from a library cart while on lockdown, and putting him in the hole for live streaming while on the phone from the Clark County Detention Center. DeCastro announced a new GoFundMe campaign, the Justice for All Legal Battle for Accountability Fund, which took in $3,621 overnight. The YouTuber promised for every dollar taken in the campaign, which has a $100,000 goal, he will expend the same amount on a party in Las Vegas after receiving a 7-figure settlement from the state of Nevada. DeCastro looked bloated in his first video back from detainment and complained about conditions in the jail impacting his blood pressure, as he was unable to get 30 minutes to an hour of physical activity he claimed his body needed per day to fight his high blood pressure. After his blood pressure routinely spiked to 200 over 110, he was placed on blood pressure medicine while in the detention center. He claimed that he was told by guards that they did not care about his physical health during his time in the detention center, and that his weight bloated up, as all he did during the time in jail was eat foods provided by care packages, talk on the phone, and stay in his bunk for lockdown. Promising retribution for his enemies, and threatened to buy targeted Facebook ads which he would run against Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman. The ads would run in the zip code where she lived and would feature 8, 15, and 30-second commercials denouncing her treatment of him at the trial. The YouTuber promised that he would focus on Zimmerman, arresting Officer Bork and the prosecutor in the case for the rest of his life, with a never-ending barrage of civil lawsuits to extract his punishment for their role in his incarceration. DeCastro's livestream, which was run using YouTube's standard format and not the new vertical format, had 3,700 likes to 222 comments and saw an observed peak of 1,900 viewers during the livestream. Mysteriously, the livestream had jumped from 29,025 viewers to 31,376 views in under an hour and a half of early morning observation, continuing the pattern of Sunday night live streams on his channel that did unusually large viewing numbers long after the event was over, as shown by previous live streams by attorney Michael Eline on his channel. Even with the large viewership, the 31,376 views only represented 5% of DeCastro's total YouTube subscriber base, which pales in comparison to the observed percentages of subscriber activity when compared to others in the auditing field, with rival Sean Paul Long Island Audits Riaz known to surpass DeCastro's live viewing and post-event percentages of his subscriber views. DeCastro's 31K also could not match Eline's most recent vertical format livestream on DeCastro's own channel, which currently stands at 171,000 viewers, or 29% of DeCastro's subscribers. That percentage is notable as Eline's overall subscriber base and user interest is just a fraction of DeCastro's, yet he can outdraw DeCastro on his own channel by a huge margin. The YouTuber promised that he would be reducing his workload from 16 hours a day to 10 hours a day and would be spending more time with his dog and his family now that jail time has taught him how precious life is. DeCastro has no scheduled follow-up live streams as of press time. Man dressed as rubber duck protests D&E pizza. A heavy-set man wearing a Halloween outfit simulating himself riding a rubber duck walked the streets of Canton, Massachusetts on Saturday, handing out customly printed mini rubber ducks with the message "Colin did it" printed on their bases in front of the D&E Pizza and Sub shop. D&E Pizzas and Subs is owned by Canton Select Board member Christopher Albert, the brother to Brian Albert, whose former home was the location of the alleged murder of police officer John O'Keefe in 2022. O'Keefe's murder was at the center of the recent Karen Reed murder trial, which resulted in a hung jury 2 weeks ago. The protester was apparently trying to promote the defense theory, which was not allowed to be entered at Reed's trial, that Christopher Albert's son Colin joined his uncle Brian Albert and ATF agent Brian Higgins in beating O'Keefe to death the night Karen Reed is alleged to have hit him with her SUV and left him to die in the snow. The trio apparently deciding to murder O'Keefe as Higgins had entered into an affair with Reed, accepting a kiss from her at O'Keefe's home in a gathering before O'Keefe's death, and exchanging a series of intimate texts. Higgins allegedly became enraged at seeing O'Keefe and Reed together at a bar earlier in the night as motivation for the murder. Police arrived on scene to monitor the situation and remained for hours after the man left. The same shops in the area were the scene of a recent, apparently planned altercation by Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, who claimed he was in the Canton area with his girlfriend to have dinner across the street from D&E Pizza when he was confronted by members of the Albert and McCabe families last month. Kearney is accused of felony witness intimidation charges from incidents where he is alleged to have harassed Albert last year outside of his D&E Pizza shop. The award-winning journalist wrote on his Twitter account in response to Kathleen Howley's post about the rubber duck-wearing man's actions on the Canton Community Voices Facebook group. "Hey Kathleen, if you think this is about rubber duckies, you're just an ignorant bitch." We will continue to monitor future protests and Kearney's involvement in the rubber duck campaign as more information is obtained. Flashback to July 15th, 2023, Serio's lackluster Saturday morning. Those that follow Glenn Serio noted how far the YouTuber has fallen as the former king of confrontation meekly live-streamed from an accident scene in Seattle early Saturday morning. The accident involved a silver car and a patrol car owned by Seattle-based Fortress Security Services, with Serio claiming that the Fortress car was at fault in the accident. After briefly interacting with the driver of the Fortress vehicle, Serio meekly stood around the scene, breathing heavily, seemingly having trouble walking during the 1 hour and 3-minute live stream. Other than remembering to occasionally mock the trolls, who he stated were angry that I beat all the charges, Serio was abnormally understated, especially when compared to the rage-driven Serio of the past that viewers are used to seeing. Standing meekly on the side of the road and quietly interacting with a police officer that he wouldn't think twice about challenging to a fight in the past, observers noted that Serio's audit was understated at best and mind-numbingly boring at worst. The YouTuber offered good views on the scene, but Serio's video failed as an actual audit, as Serio took no moves to challenge authority or stand up for his First Amendment rights. Serio celebrated his interaction by again claiming that the trolls, who he earlier admitted were probably asleep at 6 a.m. Seattle time, would be extremely upset that he beat his charges before ending the stream. GoFundMe DeCastro Fund fizzles. Jose Chile de Castro's Justice for All legal battle for accountability GoFundMe campaign both won the day and suffered a 95% reduction in donations from the previous day to win the GoFundMe crown on Monday. De Castro announced his campaign in his return live stream Saturday night, taking in a massive $3,621 in donations during the stream. Fans were generous in their donations to the fund as he featured the fund on screen, but failed to share the direct URL to the campaign. His dismally attended YouTube Live on Monday, with just 0.1% of his subscribers in observed attendance, featured the YouTuber ignoring the campaign to focus on trifle and 5A cop card sales, devoting 3 hours of his life to under 50 sales and a fraction of the money he made the night before from his GoFundMe campaign alone. De Castro is seeking $100,000 to hire the best First Amendment lawyer to file his pending lawsuit against all elements of the criminal justice system in the state of Nevada. Claims he'll sue for include malicious prosecution, inhumane treatment, cruel and unusual punishment, perjury, depriving his family from entering the courtroom, torture, keeping him from having a book and pencil while being in the hole, putting him on extended lockdown for standing up and grabbing a book off a library cart while on lockdown, and putting him in the hole for live streaming while on the phone from the Clark County Detention Center. New to this list, as we missed it on Sunday's list of grievances, is De Castro's claim that he was forced to use a polished aluminum fake mirror instead of a real glass mirror to shave, resulting in multiple small cuts on his face anytime he shaved. De Castro's included this in his list of grievances that he claims will see him win a 7-figure settlement from the state of Nevada. While dropping 95% in overall new donations on Monday, De Castro's Justice for All legal battle for accountability did win the day with $167 in new donations. This was followed by our own ongoing expenses fund with $140 in new donations. De Castro's lawyer fund only, all dollars go to lawyers, saw $100 in new donations, while his legal aid fund, donation fund, Help People fund saw $40 in donations for the day. His legal defense fund crime scene tape illegal arrest campaign again was completely ignored by De Castro's fans. As De Castro goes, so does the market, with today's random donation going to Christopher Ruff's Help Christopher Ruff Direct D Clear His Name fund, receiving $10 in new donations. All in all, the combined campaigns that we follow pulled in $462 in new donations, reaching $181,448 out of a combined goal of $58,050 for a 31% completion rate. The overall take has jumped since De Castro's return, going up a full percentage point in the 2 days since he returned from his time in the Clark County Detention Center. We warn against getting too excited about the gains, as DeCastro was unable to capitalize on his massive Sunday win, barely edging out our own campaign on Monday. If he continues to fail to promote his campaign, there will be no meeting his $100,000 goal, no winning of a seven-figure settlement from the state of Nevada, and no party with his fans to celebrate himself in the future. If you'd like to join our daily hate watcher and forcing us to write this column every day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Benson threatens Inglewood City Council. Self-proclaimed First Amendment Auditor Regan Benson threatened the Inglewood City Council Monday night by reminding them that she just won a $130,000 settlement from Denver and may turn her attention to the Colorado City should they not follow her instructions to clean up the Inglewood Police Department. An increasingly paranoid Benson livestreamed before the public comments period of the Inglewood City Council meeting on Monday with a dire warning that the police in Inglewood were dirty and that she was fearful that an unchecked police department would lead to her death. She expressed in both pre-meeting comments and direct comments to the City Council that she hoped that members of the Inglewood Police Department would retire or resign when Police Chief Sam Watson does later this month. Benson then brought up an email exchange with Inglewood Deputy Police Chief Vance Fender, where she demanded Fender provide copies of the 911 call to the City Council that he claimed he had reviewed in clearing Inglewood's emergency dispatchers of wrongdoing in an incident last month. The YouTuber has suddenly become at odds with Fender after his possible promotion to the chief, after describing him positively in previous encounters. Now that his ascension is clear in her mind, she has taken steps in her livestream to paint him as a dirty cop and indicate her opinion that the Inglewood police force would be better off without him. Benson is also at odds with the Inglewood emergency dispatch team and had been before the events that led up to her to file a complaint against a dispatcher last month. She has been upset that a dispatcher talked to the Frauditor Troll channel, and Frauditor Troll seems to have influenced the prosecution of Benson for allegedly criminally harassing an allied security guard at the Inglewood Public Library earlier this year. Her unscripted comments that the police were looking to take her out prompted a question from Benson's sympathizer and City Council member Kim Wright, who admitted she watches Benson's YouTube channel and wanted to know if Benson is truly fearful of the Inglewood Police Department ending her life. Benson responded that she was indeed in fear, which seemed to rattle Wright. Benson would later imply that she had information on YouTuber Frauditor Troll, who she described as a communist and a Canadian, which has scared the YouTuber, and she made it clear that she knew who he was and implied that she could act against him. Returning to her grievances against a woman named Jennifer Lambert, who gave an anti-First Amendment auditing speech last month at the City Council meeting, Benson claimed that Lambert worked in the Inglewood Housing Authority and had no right to use her First Amendment rights at the City Council meeting as she worked in government. She demanded the immediate firing of Lambert and stated that she felt that Lambert was being corruptly groomed by the mayor of Inglewood for a position on the council. Benson ended the livestream with a frantic search for a woman she was supposed to give a ride to, who apparently fled the meeting after Benson's fiery speech against the council. She was unsuccessful in finding the woman before ending the stream. DeCastro returns to infomercials. Jose Chili DeCastro immediately returned to live streaming on Monday, going a little over 3 hours and featuring an observed 480 viewers at peak, despite post-video views initially ballooning up to over 15,000 views, compared to a total of 135 comments and 1,400 likes. DeCastro 49 was back to full infomercial form, offering deals on his indestructible trifolds and 5A cop cards, while featuring anti-police videos and otherwise obnoxiously berating the police, claiming that police knew better to mess with him in real life and showing none of the promised changes that he would make since getting out of the Clark County Detention Center. The YouTuber's pupils were tiny and his lips were white again as he manically rushed through parts of the 3-hour-long broadcast. Compared to the night before when he cried his way through the first live stream back from being released from an overturned conviction that put him in the detention center, he was much more frantic as he pitched his items to his fans. Notable was the fact that despite the mysteriousness awareness of DeCastro's ability to add thousands of views long after having abysmally attended live streams for such a huge channel. 0.1% of his subscribers attended the live stream, while a total of 3% of total subscribers viewed the live stream in the 12 hours since it finished airing. When compared to smaller YouTubers and even Michael Eline's broadcast on DeCastro's own channel, the turnout is obviously not what the YouTuber expected in his grand return from incarceration. Even hate watchers avoided the second broadcast, with many who would otherwise have previously watched DeCastro's videos restreamed on a now defunct UK-based YouTube channel simply opted out of giving DeCastro a view. The broadcast itself also lacked news, with DeCastro continuing to promise to throw a party in his honor when he wins a seven-figure settlement. However, in the second broadcast, he seemed to back away from the idea of buying hotel rooms for all of the viewers who donated. DeCastro has been known to weight and appearance shame individuals on his videos, showing a bias for beautiful people as he ages and no longer displays the physical qualities that made him a small-time model and Power Rangers actor. His bias against less than beautiful people may give him second thoughts about interacting with his fans, though it's unconfirmed at this time. Returning to his physical prowess, DeCastro said that in real life and away from the jail, none of the guards could intimidate him or take him in a fight. While he admitted his current diminished physical capacity, he still boasted that he could win fights against anyone who challenged him. In a strange ending to the live stream, DeCastro claimed that while he was going to punish Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman by stripping her of her judicial immunity and forcing him to pay for sentencing him to jail, he indicated that he had no hate in his heart and had forgiven all those involved in the ruling that put him in jail for hundreds and hundreds of days. After nearly 3 hours of justifying his punishment of all the players and indicating how he would punish the players with lawsuits, stripped immunity, targeted advertisements, and pariah status in the community, it was a puzzling element of the stream as he explained how he stopped a good friend from talking about the unprincipled and dirty Justice of the Peace Zimmerman, as all he had was forgiveness in his heart. DeCastro is expected to return to his regularly scheduled 3-hour live infomercial this afternoon. Kidman audits Safari Inn Hotel. In an obvious sign of an otherwise slow news day, we follow up on the strange world of Katie Kidman, a 60-plus-year-old California auditor who recently audited the Safari Inn Hotel in Burbank, California with Nasty Nathaniel. Kidman is famous for an incident almost 2 years ago where she received a fine and the order not to First Amendment audit for a full year after multiple attempts to audit at kindergartens and high schools in California. The YouTuber was known for simply opening the door of a school and walking freely through it, refusing to identify herself or leave the property when confronted by school officials. Other times she would stand outside of a building as it was opening for the day and attempt to interview children as they entered the building. Also known for living in her van and constantly being at odds with the police over parking in neighborhoods where she was not welcome, Kidman has been a fixture of the D-level auditing community since her return from legally being prohibited from auditing earlier this year. Monday's video saw her and C-level auditor Nasty Nathaniel stand on the sidewalk outside of the world-famous Safari Inn in Burbank and attempt to film the facility. While keeping to the public sidewalk, the pair discussed the history of the building before they were approached by an employee who warned them that they could not film on the property. The Safari Inn, which according to Google's AI overview, has a history of appearing in movies and TV shows such as True Romance, Apollo 13, 6 Feet Under, CSI Vegas, Coach Carter, Desperate Housewives, and The Partridge Family, apparently has a strict no-filming policy and is known for defending that policy. Kidman and Nasty Nathaniel pointed out that they were on public property and they could film anything they could see from the sidewalk. The employee disagreed, stating that her manager may have her call the police to handle the situation. The video ended abruptly as the employee returned to the hotel and Nasty Nathaniel and Kidman were in mid-conversation. No explanations were given for the abrupt end to the live stream, nor has Nasty Nathaniel posted his copy of the footage from the incident on his channel as of press time. We will continue to monitor the situation as the very slow news week continues. Flashback, July 16, 2023. DeCastro begs for Instagram help. Like a tired old man discovering a new early bird special only to order the same tired and true meal of cottage cheese, fruit salad, and soup, Jose Chili de Castro started his live stream on early Sunday night, featuring more of the same and offering nothing new to his friends and followers. De Castro appeared a bit less disheveled than in recent videos. His puffy eyes and confused look on his face remained as staples of his appearance at the start of the live stream, his 5 o'clock shadow replaced by pink highlights around his mouth and nose, and rapid aging was highlighted by the gray walls of the server room he chose to broadcast from, a room borrowed from a friend as the YouTuber had no permanent place to call his own. In front of a small portion of his 216,000 total subscribers, the YouTuber looked at various YouTube videos without permission of the copyright holders, ignoring the YouTube rules he was seeking to change in his recently dismissed Massachusetts-based federal civil rights lawsuit. The highlight of the live stream came when De Castro called the sheriff's department in Zapata, Texas, as usual, ignoring that it was after hours on a Saturday night, to inquire about a video he watched in which a man had his leg ripped off in a freakish accident involving Zapata's sheriff's deputies. De Castro prank called the Zapata Sheriff's Office twice, getting in touch with an after-hours dispatcher and getting several no-comment responses before hanging up and launching into song about channel member Jeff Hates Pigs and proclaiming that sometimes, as he's driving, he gets surges of energy before trailing off and directing his fans to his Instagram page to get balance to his scale. The homeless YouTuber ended the live stream urging his followers to fight for him on social media and complaining that his social media accounts were inundated by bootlickers and copsuckers, and only a small portion of his followers showed any sort of support for him outside of YouTube. GoFundMe last-minute donation saves De Castro. A last-minute donation of $200 along with a $20 donation earlier in the day saw Jose Chili De Castro's Justice for All legal battle for accountability take the day with $220 in total donations, beating out everyone else, including our ongoing expenses account. The $220 from two donors, one posted a mere 48 minutes ago, gave De Castro a gain for the day, but makes us questionable about De Castro's goal of reaching $100,000, throwing a grand party for all of his fans in Las Vegas to celebrate himself, invent a de-aging remedy, cure his high blood pressure so he doesn't drop dead of a heart attack in the next 10 years, or maybe, just maybe, kiss a girl out of love and not screw it up with an obnoxious comment and a slap from a feminine hand before she takes his last $50, allegedly. The market is a mess. Our own decline for the day can be put on our hate watchers seeing our take from Monday and thinking we're well off enough to be punished to write this column until the end of time. Well, Haiti McHaterson, it isn't. It was a one-time fluke, and I'm quietly eyeballing goose eggs again as it's too hot, and these people are too lame to do anything at all to promote their campaigns. At least De Castro is trying. He's flailing around like a fat man in a kiddie pool, determined to drown himself without realizing that fat floats better than anything as sharks come to play reverse bobbing for apples. But that's another night terror for another time. He's at least got a captivated yet shrinking audience to expose his fun to every night. The rest of these people? Dear God, did they just forget? Eliminate Anselmo. He gave up nearly immediately. Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova hasn't had a donation in 29 days. Craig Hendry hasn't had a donation in 3 months. Garrett Press with Ranker Van Net is also stuck at 3 months without a donation. Christopher Direct D. Ruff got a donation the other day of $10, but it had been 23 days before that for his last donation. All of Jose Chili De Castro's funds are doing okay with recent donations, except for his next criminal case, the Legal Defense Fund Crime Scene Tape Illegal Arrest Fund, which hasn't seen a dime in 2 months now, and isn't likely to, since he's either forgotten about it or given up on it. Skipping the two parody accounts as they're not relevant. For Public Safety hasn't seen a donation in a month. Then LIA is all over the place with his unlawful arrest and constitutional rights violation fund going 15 days without a donation, his support the fight against tyranny and corruption fund going 20 days without a donation, the fund legal defense against unlawful arrest fund is doing okay with a donation 3 days ago and one 22 days before that, his help with criminal defense attorney for this case fund going a whopping 6 months without a donor, LIA's Help LIA with legal fees to fight Tyrant's lawsuit fund hasn't seen a donation in 3 months. Rounding out the list, his help with billboard truck purchase to expose tyranny fund hasn't seen a dime in over 20 days. You know, Ass Elmo, you know our fund. The difference with our fund is that I actually promote it daily in some way, and I have one fan who keeps us going either out of spite to make us start our day by writing this column, or they're fattening us up to serve to Glenn Stereo when the prophecy comes true and the moon turns blood red, and he needs the blood of a financial reporter to fuel his, "Hey, never, foul creature, you will never sacrifice me to Glenn Stereo." Rose has dibs. I'm thinking she's trading me in for a combo washer-dryer, but that's digressing. There's something wrong here. There's something terribly wrong here. It's not just the heat, it's apathy, it's stupidity, it's ego. The days of money being thrown at auditors without working for it seems to be over even for Chili DeCastro. As the market goes, so does DeCastro. Any bets on the number of days before we hit goose eggs again? Come to my live stream tonight. Tell us your pick in side chat. If you'd like to join our daily hate watcher and forcing me to write this column every day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Wallace returns to streaming. Floyd Wallace made his grand return to live streaming Tuesday night after time off battling severe depression, lack of work, lack of donations, and overall inadequateness before making a decision to return to streaming. Wallace started the live stream by announcing that he would be leaving the United States in either August or September to return to Colombia for at least 3 months. The date is in flux as Wallace has a court date in Norman, Oklahoma for jury selection in early August for charges of obstruction of a police officer from last year. The YouTuber claimed that his attorney said he'd tried to quash the charges, which have lingered without a court date for most of a year now, before getting a date to select the jury. As the charges were relatively minor, Wallace doesn't seem to want to take a plea deal in the case. Wallace indicated that a primary goal in leaving the United States was the fact that he is unable to find sexual partners in the U.S. He previously claimed that he paid to play in America while in Nebraska earlier this year, but otherwise had not had intercourse with anyone since returning from his overseas trip. One of the benefits of Colombia, according to Wallace, was the ease of finding sex, though he did complain that a lot of the girls he knew would not talk to him while he was in the country, yet texted him constantly to come back once he left. He added the high cost of living in Texas as another thing motivating him to leave, though he said he never considered fully leaving the United States and giving up his citizenship. He said that he would maintain his apartment even if no one was living in it, as he needed something to fall back on if things went sour outside of the United States. On the issue of donations, the YouTuber promised that when he gets back to Colombia and Brazil, he would force himself to go to clubs for the entertainment of his audience. He felt that if he made the content members only, he would get around YouTube censorship, as the music industry would not strike private videos for using their music, and he needed to offer incentives for membership. Wallace claimed that viewers would return to giving him donations soon, as those who had been turned off by him using money pledged to overseas trips to pay for his car and living expenses had either left his channel or would forgive him about lying about what he used the money for. He then pledged to use all of his Super Chat and Cash App donations he received for his next trip to Colombia. DeCastro loses the plot. Like the kid who came home from summer camp and wouldn't shut up about his experience and would bore you every day with how great summer camp was and how many friends he had made and how he was the big man on campus until you either beat him up the side of the head with a stick or you find a way to avoid him for the rest of your life. Jose Chili DeCastro shared his jail stories last night again. In an address that went over 3 hours and started well after 8 p.m. on the East Coast, DeCastro started on about jail life and kept going and going and going, losing his audience from an observed 370-ish live viewers down from Monday, and his point before finally trying to recover and go into his standard cop-watching videos. YouTube says his video has done 10,752 views at this moment in time, 1,000 likes, and 27 comments. I don't believe it for a second, but yeah, okay. That's down and doesn't explain who these people are, as mysterious jumps in viewing numbers don't come when most Americans are even awake. Bot farms in India and Russia never sleep, but we'd never accuse anyone of buying subs. It's just none of it makes sense. Chili is back. After hundreds and hundreds of days in the hole, cutting himself shaving in front of a polished aluminum mirror, not being able to spread Nutella or Nutella substitute on his private parts and parade around at the afternoon tea party with James the assistant and Charlie, he signed Assistant James to one hella NDA, you can be sure of that. He was supposed to be spitting fire and brimstone, riding a Harley out of hell and bringing on the dogs of war against the entire legal system in the state of Nevada. He was supposed to scare the piss out of any YouTube creator who even thought of using his content or his name or Charlie's name or anything related to him on the internet. He was supposed to be rolling in buck. His $100,000 campaign to throw a party for himself was supposed to be funded immediately, and his fans covering him in gold like the Inca god he wants to be. And DeCastro blew it. In my GoFundMe column that you just ignored, I've been saying that he blew his timing for the return. He should have gone live the day he was released from jail. Broken tooth, bloated belly, and weird haircut, standing defiantly outside of lockup and demanding justice. He would have probably hit 10K out of his 100K goal for the GoFundMe and at least gained another week before the decline set in. Especially if he followed his release up with good old-fashioned fire and brimstone, striking accounts with fake copyright strikes left and right, and by God, bringing hell on earth back, like in his old terror campaigns against anyone who mentioned him. But no, it's been 3 days in live streams, and he's moaning about what he did at summer camp, how thin the blankets and padding were, how he couldn't watch what he wanted on TV, how the minimum security facility was a living hell on earth, and the people were dumb, with addicts, the homeless, and mentally ill surrounding him, and the jail thinking he belonged there with these people. He may have said more, but I wasn't there. Honestly, he could have pulled out his little Chilean sang Yankee Doodle, and I would have been there to watch. It was after 9 p.m. on the East Coast. He started awfully with another dream session about what he did in summer camp, and you couldn't have paid me to sit through it live. 4 a.m. now, and I'm searching for anything else to cover and cursing the damn other auditors for being so lazy that there's nothing else to write about, and this is not how to start a revolution. Do better. Just stop the summer camp stories, for God's sakes. Someone tip my GoFundMe, please. I'm gonna need to be able to afford mental health insurance if we go another week of this. You know there will be another week of this. Maybe he was better off in jail. Flashback, June 17, 2023. Benson pays tribute to Cowboy. Regan Benson went live on Saturday from the Ruby Hill Park in Denver to celebrate the life of Steve Cowboy Olson, who Benson described as one of the 6 homeless people who have died since last September after working with Benson. Benson's footage started a couple hours into the event, which she previously described as the only event she would use as homeless outreach by her Helping Hands for Dignity coalition for the entire year. The sparsely populated event saw Benson distribute a variety of hygiene-related items, clothing, and food to a small gathering of homeless attendees. Benson explained that she waited to live stream until towards the end of the event, as it was emotionally rough and there was music playing by an unrelated group throughout the afternoon. Benson took time to introduce Cowboy's daughter Destiny, who was on hand to accept her father's ashes. Destiny explained that she never knew much about her dad's life and his hardships on the streets of Denver. She always worried about his living on the streets, and when the time came, she was thankful someone someone was there to help him bring his story to an end. The homeless activist claimed that Cowboy had received a phone call the Friday before his death that he had been approved for an apartment in Denver through Denver's Homeless Services. Benson stated that she and Destiny have paired in handling their part in the investigation into Cowboy's death by Adams County, Colorado. Flashback to July 17, 2023. Defense files motion to prevent DeCastro from practicing law in Wallace case. In a second potentially devastating move to Jose Chile DeCastro, the defense in Floyd Wallace's Las Vegas-based federal civil rights lawsuit filed motions to dismiss the case and a motion to prevent DeCastro from illegally serving as Wallace's legal representation in the case. Addressing the latter first, motion to prevent DeCastro from practicing law without a license was made by attorney Craig R. Anderson of Marquis Arbach, who is representing the firm in Jose DeCastro's own lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Force. Being keenly aware of DeCastro's filing, Anderson provided charts to demonstrate how DeCastro cut and pasted his own lawsuit, changing minor details to reflect Wallace's case. He asserts that DeCastro was so involved with the filing that he both fundraised for the filing fees to file the case and served as Wallace's courier to file the case himself. He also noted that in his haste to file the motion, DeCastro even included the same typos in Wallace's lawsuit that he made in his own filing. Anderson stated, "It appears both DeCastro and plaintiff have an axe to grind with LVMPD, and DeCastro has assisted plaintiff in bringing a trumped-up, frivolous suit. Plaintiff will be pursuing vigorously 29 where there was reasonable suspicion for plaintiff's detention and probable cause for his arrest. DeCastro has not only been assisting plaintiff with the case, but also appears to be soliciting his services for any of his viewers who may be interested in the future, which would mean that this could be a continuous issue moving forward. Thus, the court should issue an order to permanently preclude DeCastro from the unauthorized practice of law." In the same motion, Anderson also sought to have Wallace's filing stricken from the record as it was improperly filed, as it was prepared by someone who was unlicensed to provide legal services. At the very minimum, it requests that DeCastro be prohibited from participating or providing legal advice to Wallace as the case progresses. Anderson also authored the motion to dismiss Wallace's case, essentially asking for all of Wallace's complaints to be dismissed, as they do not provide grounds to show for his entitlement of relief. The attorney systematically went through each of Wallace's accusations, from racial profiling to assault and battery, and attempted to demonstrate how each of the actions were justifiable under Nevada law. The attorney also goes after Wallace's case for improperly making a Monell claim, as well as alleges a number of improper actions, but fails to state how any of the complaints are constitutional violations. Wallace has offered no facts to support his claims or even made a specific claim against the officers involved in the case. Anderson is seeking a complete dismissal of the lawsuit. This is a breaking news story. GoFundMe, DeCastro rebounds? Not so fast. Putting a string of victories together, Jose Chile DeCastro again took the GoFundMe title for Wednesday, pulling in $430 in donations from 3 donors for the day and beating out our own ongoing expenses fund and Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova's fund by a large margin. Wait a minute, Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova had a donation? After a month stuck at $570, he's jumped to $600? Well, weed my whacker and shave my nose hairs. He did. A single $30 donation came in a little after we went live with yesterday's article showing that he has no play in almost a month, and we're going to take credit for this one, even if it isn't true. There's no other reason for this fund to get any play except for the word of mouth we brought to it yesterday. Cordova put out a new video. Yes, he did. Yesterday, it was a rehash of the time he got arrested because he was hanging out with the cool kids, aka Christopher Direct D. Ruff and Freedom Jim, and they drove by a police police officer and flashed a high-powered flashlight in the guy's face. Direct D did the actual act, but Cordova sauntered up and took the fall for it because his buddy Direct D had a warrant out of Arizona, and you can't let the cool kid go to jail, right? I mean, if you don't take the fall and get the mark on your permanent record, the cool kid might not let you pay for his lunch and pay attention to you as he's sticking your head in the toilet tomorrow. Picture the scene of Direct D holding DMA's head in the toilet while telling him that he was going to honor DMA by taking out his sister and his mother on a double date and make whoopee to them in the most uncomfortable spot possible. Yes, like in the back of a Volkswagen. We're not sure if DMA actually has a sister, but he has access to women's clothing and can make the fantasy happen for donations. Allegedly. Regarding fantasies, we do mix into real and not real when being funny in our intro and outro sections of this daily newscast. Yesterday, one of the two statements made by our number one fan, Tom, was not real. At no point did we witness him say that our mother had a better voice when she moaned at him the night before. He said a lot of wonderful comments towards us in the past, but never that. It's not that we don't think he'd ever take our mother out on a nice candlelit dinner, a walk in the park, and a wonderful time listening to the Republican National Convention. It's just, we think he's in a committed relationship, and we don't want to get in between him and his hoovering, if you know what I mean. So sorry, Tom. Hope all is well in Tommyland. Getting back to the real world, no one actually has the money these days to keep up with the big dollar donations to a campaign every day. DeCastro has seen a number of them come in to give him top dollars for the day in the race for the title, but they're not sustainable. They're good to see on the bottom line, that's for sure, and we wouldn't turn down a donation that was made like that, but look at it in another way. He had 3 donations for the day, 2 small values and 1 big value. That means 3 people actually took the time to throw money at him. A channel with 592,000 for real y'all subscribers took in $433 from 3 donations. Not a bunch of donations to make up that $430 to show there's interest in supporting him from everyone on his platform. 3 donations and 1 big money donor. It's a sign that things are in decline. Backing this, we missed his latest live, about to watch it at 5 a.m., so we have no idea of observed live views, but his totals are down with 72 comments, 757 likes, and a total of 7,844 views 12 hours after his live aired. DeCastro had no real competition. He had the time slot to himself. It's about half the viewers that his last 2 lives got, not even 1/6 the views his return got, and 163,200 less views than Michael Eline's own last stream on DeCastro's channel. There's something wrong here. The money should be flowing in like water through steerage glass on the Titanic. It's not, and that should be scaring the hell out of Chili DeCastro right now. If you'd like to join our daily hate watcher in scaring the hell out of us while forcing us to write this column every day, we do have a GoFundMe. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Long Island Audit loses motion. Sean Paul, Long Island Audit Riaz's Tuesday night live stream featured his protest of a ruling in his Schenectady, New York criminal case on Tuesday, where he is on trial for trespassing at the city hall. The video had 209,000 views out of Riaz's 778,000 subscribers, representing 27% of his subscriber base, 15,000 likes, and 2,200 comments since airing on Tuesday. It saw Riaz react to Judge Taniki Frost's ruling against his motion to dismiss the case in which Riaz was arrested for violating Mayor Gary McCarthy's executive order prohibiting filming within the city hall without permission from all of those who were filmed. Riaz was arrested in April on a live stream entitled "I was unlawfully arrested for investigating a tyrannical mayor" before an arrest even happened. During the video, Riaz walked through the city hall, openly filming, and was denied an immediate meeting with Mayor McCarthy. The arrest happened when Riaz approached the security guard, who told him filming was not allowed within the city hall. Reyes protested, and when Reyes refused to stop filming, he offered no resistance to the arrest and was later released without incident. Reyes used the live stream to display features of the Attorney Shield paid application that he works for. The application prevented his phone from turning off during the arrest and continued to film even after being separated from Reyes and being transported to a local police station. In Reyes' motion, he claimed that the mayor lacked the power to make an executive order, as he was assuming the powers of the legislature. He also contested that the city of Schenectady failed to clearly state what led to his arrest for charges of trespassing. He also claimed that being trespassed for filming police violated New York's right to record law, which gives citizens the right to record when police officers are on duty. Since 2 police officers are assigned to the city hall, he argued he had every right to film them as they were on duty. Reyes would later state that he was unaware of the executive order and presumed that he had the right to film in City Hall, despite indicating in the title of the livestream from April that he would be arrested before any arrest happened. Reyes now claims that he had no intention or knowledge of anything that would lead to an arrest in the actions from that day. The prosecution replied that Reyes needed to take up the legality of the order with the city attorney. Reyes countered that the city attorney likely wrote the order and wouldn't listen to him. Judge Tanika E. Frost sided with the prosecution and told Reyes to contact the city attorney. Judge Frost also denied Reyes' motion to dismiss, indicating that the police and the prosecution do not have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt to bring charges against someone. As long as they gave defendant Reyes a basis for a defense and an idea of what he was being charged with, they were fine. Reyes spent the next 10 minutes of the 27-minute live stream rallying against the judge and her order, demanding justice for the denial of his motion. He also provided advertising time to Attorney Shield and his Cameo service on the YouTube page for the investigation. The trial for these charges will be held on August 27, 2024. DeCastro appears on Michael Eline's live stream. Jose Chile DeCastro appeared on Michael Eline's broadcast on Tuesday night to do a rare interview with an outside channel that shed some light on what he's going through since being released from the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center. DeCastro, appearing from an office space in front of a wall that was entirely green-screened, was candid in admitting that he took the first 24 hours out of the jail to himself, spending time with family and not looking at his phone. He claimed to be catching up on his sleep for the past few days instead of focusing on the mission, and thanked Eline for being the lightning to his thunder in the movement. He further said that despite Eline's higher viewing numbers on DeCastro's own channel, that there was no jealousy, just relief for the work Eline had done. Michael Eline and Brian Here's the Deal Young took over hosting DeCastro's channels while the YouTuber was incarcerated, with Eline somehow eclipsing viewer totals that DeCastro has put up over the past year on his own channel. DeCastro's physical decline was on display as the YouTuber claimed that he put on 20 pounds from being in jail, and he was going to take before and after photos, which he'd display only after he lost the weight. He also claimed that his thumb was damaged and would need to be fixed, allegedly from the pressure put on his ulnar nerve in his arrest last year by Officer Jesse Sandoval of the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, who was restraining DeCastro in the arrest. Addressing his finances, DeCastro admitted that he was still on the hook for Garrett Press with Rancor Van Net's legal bills, as he signed a contract for it. He claimed that he had only made a third of the payments towards the overall bill, and had to honor the commitment because he signed his name to it. DeCastro also stated that he was thinking of traveling to Michigan for Van Net's trial at the end of July. In his own legal fees, he has hired Josh Tomczyk for his upcoming criminal case for obstructing an officer in Las Vegas. DeCastro said that he gave Tomczyk $15,000 out of a total of $25,000 in fees and warned his viewers not to skimp on legal representation. Despite his feelings of inadequacy in his bloated body, he launched into an attack on Justice Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman calling her Crooked Jaw for her old crooked jaw and claiming that everyone in the jail knew her by that moniker, but then claimed he forgave the unprincipled and nasty judge and let his anger go. As Zimmerman is not running for re-election, Eline's co-host, BZ Watchdog, suggested DeCastro file a judicial complaint against her, which DeCastro admitted that his team was doing right now and that someone named Thompson was writing the brief. Eline suggested a civil rights attorney named Alan Beck, who DeCastro should talk to about taking his case in Nevada via pro hac vice status, which would allow him to practice in the state without being licensed in the state. That would require a local attorney to allow the use of his local license for that to happen. When BZ Watchdog brought up the case of Associate Texas girl, who is facing charges, DeCastro suggested gathering everyone from the movement to march on the town in order to show support for her. DeCastro has pledged that he would do interviews on his supporters' channels where they could ask him 10 questions about jail, which he would answer on the air. The first of the suggested interviews has not been scheduled as of press time. Flashback July 18, 2023. Wrangler admits criminal past, asks for forgiveness. Michael Fraud at Wrangler Kaiser went live on Monday to address claims made by host Dan of the Welsh News Network about his criminal past. Kaiser admitted that he had previously been convicted of multiple felony charges in the state of Alabama. Those charges include a felony conviction in 2012 for second-degree receiving stolen property, 2 2012 felony convictions for second-degree theft of property, and a 2016 felony conviction for third-degree burglary. The YouTuber also admitted that he was currently facing an ongoing case from 2022 in which Kaiser has been charged with multiple felony charges including fraudulent use of a credit card, third-degree theft of property, and burglary in the third degree. While admitting guilt, including guilt for his ongoing criminal case, Kaiser blamed drug addiction for his actions. His most recent conviction was due to obtaining prescription medication from the Veterans Administration during the outbreak that led to his decision to steal credit cards from his work to obtain drugs. Kaiser stated that he was guilty of everything in Dan's reporting except for stolen valor and murder charges. While Kaiser may have heard the accusations from other sources, host Dan mentioned the murder charges and that they were dropped and made no accusations of stolen valor during his reporting. The YouTuber thanked his fans for their support and pledged that he would be undeterred in his mission as he moved forward with his YouTube career, pending the result of the outstanding felony cases. GoFundMe, DeCastro upstaged by own campaign. As we predicted yesterday, Jose Chile DeCastro's Justice for All Legal Battle for Accountability Fund fell to under $100 in new donations on Thursday and was surpassed by one of his other campaigns, which received a random donation of $100. DeCastro's Legal Aid Fund Donation Fund Help People Fund drew said $100 with a single random donation on Thursday to beat out DeCastro's newest fund, leaving the Justice for All Fund at a total of $4,508 out of the $100,000 goal it was seeking and a 5% completion rate. The only other campaign to receive funding on Thursday was our own ongoing expenses fund, which saw the glorious return of the $10 hate donation to continue this column. We know we're doing something right when the hate donation comes in, despite our cutting back on our public presence for the weekend as we learn new tricks. Old mad dogs, new tricks, all that. We did lose a day of the supposed learning process as all sorts of stories broke after we got the news out later than expected, putting the final print column out by 11 a.m. Eastern and the delivery of the paper a little past noon Eastern. Then all hell broke loose in the afternoon as the news that implied threats by Aidan Turnaboy Kearney caused one former juror in the Karen Reed murder trial to request Judge Beverly Cannoni near permanently seal the names of the jurors in the case broke, and boy did it ever break Turnaboy. Mass posts on Twitter following Wednesday's illogical posting of snippets of his arrest video where he tried to show he was macho in the face of going to jail led to Turtleboy and his associates claiming that the juror was duped into thinking he'd come after her or him or whomever. It didn't help that he identified the profession of one of the alternate jurors on Thursday, what she was wearing, and that she was pregnant the entire time she was serving as a potential juror in the case. Ill-timed isn't even the proper description for it, Stupidity and ego is our take, but that's well off the financial path. Our summation of the financial take from these GoFundMe campaigns is that DeCastro will still receive random big money donations here and there, but he'll never get to the $100,000 goal he says he has to get to pay for the lawyer he needs so he can win the seven-figure settlement from the state of Nevada and throw a $100,000 party in his own honor in Las Vegas. Have you seen the parties in Vegas? $100,000 gets you 5 rooms at the Days Inn, maybe 3 hours of a taco truck, and 20 sleeping bags for the honored guests he'll invite to have a sleepover in the 120-degree heat in somebody's backyard. Probably, no, definitely without permission. Everyone else has abandoned their goals. No one is busting their asses. It's not just the heat, it's becoming unexplainable. They're making YouTube money, payday's on the 20th, and that's just a day away, and they're content not to ask for handouts. Or if they're LIA, they're raking in all the money left and right from YouTube and his investment into Attorney Shield and Cameo. Note to myself, make a Cameo account, assert that it'll be a cat on camera as I speak, then put the raccoon army to work. It'll be a big hit, really. Since we're not monetized, if you'd like to join our daily hate watcher in making us dance for tips while forcing us to write this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe and other cash applications. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here or on ReallyCoolSite.org. Henry hit with possible contempt charges. YouTuber Craig Henry announced on Thursday night that he's facing a contempt hearing for airing a secretly made and illegal recording of his most recent court appearance in Greene County, Indiana, on his YouTube channel. Earlier in the month, the YouTuber aired footage of his most recent court hearing in his case where he's facing charges of resisting law enforcement / obstructing and unlawful encroachment on an investigation out of Greene County, Indiana. The audio recording, due to the proximity of Henry's voice compared to everyone else in the courtroom, was obviously either recorded by Henry himself or someone associated with Henry sitting near him and recording in secret, in violation of Indiana's rules about recording in the courtroom. Observers noted at the time that Henry aired the footage that it was suspicious, as Henry filed no media request to record, and Henry just suddenly had footage of the hearing to air on his channel in support of his efforts at the hearing to have the charges dismissed against him. Thursday night, Henry went live with the news that he received a notice from corrupt Brent W. Seymour, deputy prosecuting attorney for Greene County, who was requesting a showcase hearing from the judge in the case to determine if contempt of court charges should be filed against Henry for either recording the audio himself or participating in the production of the tape. Henry's story is that an anonymous source, not the person who accompanied him to the building and served as his cameraman, provided Henry with the recording of the proceeding to be aired on Henry's channel. The YouTuber claimed that he had no reason not to air the video, as the recording itself was news, and even though it was self-reporting news, and the authorities should have been alerted to its existence before he aired it, as a news person covering the story about himself, it was somehow covered under the rules of journalism. Henry used it as the subject of his hour and 15-minute long live stream on Thursday, where he attempted to rally his supporters into taking action for his cause. No ruling has been made by the court as of press time. What the hell is wrong with Chili DeCastro? Electability, that's the word Jose Chili DeCastro has described as the trait he wants to project in his post-jail persona as he approaches the masses. It's also the same trait that's literally killing his channel. DeCastro saw 261 live viewers at the peak of his live stream on Thursday, again down from previous days, and showing a continued decline in interest in his content, as he's had 8,206 views, slightly up, we'll admit, in the bot-infested hours post-show, and 688 likes and a whole 57 comments. In comparison, Sean Paul, Long Island Audits Riaz's last live stream is sitting at 220,000 live views, 2,319 comments, and 16,000 likes in the 2 days since going live. We do realize it's not fair to compare it, as it's had 36 more hours of lead time, but even using a third of LIA's metrics, his 30-minute broadcast blows DeCastro out of the water. The difference? LIA's folks seem to be real. There's real patterns of viewership and a big enough sample of commenters to show that he has a massive community to support his product, where Chili has Chevy, Gloria, Cope Dog, and yeah, LA has close to 300,000 more subscribers than DeCastro, but this was the man that DeCastro had declared dead in the water earlier in the year, in the pre-jailing times, when he was riding high on donations and could do no wrong. So what's changed? DeCastro's attitude, for one. DeCastro is no longer the fire and vinegar, piss and brimstone asshole he used to be. At his best, people would hate watch and gather on channels or in voice chats to restream, so DeCastro couldn't get credit for more than a single view. Since coming back and taking a stance where he wants to be elected to the governorship or legislature or fire marshal or hall monitor or a bikini inspector at Hooters, DeCastro has been so toned down that there's no reason to watch, hate watch, or even talk about his activities. Quietly, he's failing to the point where even his appearances on other channels, Michael Eline, for example, can't even pop the numbers past where they've gotten in the past without him. There's nothing controversial about him, and yet, yeah, sure, he's right back into trifold sales and watching anti-police videos and giving away his products for 5 cents each for the next 5 minutes. Get your order in now, folks, but he's just bland, bleck, bummer, bitch boy, bozo, blah. Old Chili was at least tolerable from a reporting element, because you could go 25 minutes into a broadcast and get a story. There was always something there that you could fill a page with and hit your deadline. He'd let the stupid out on a regular basis, and that was enough to carry his channel into promotion. Thursday night's infomercial came off as a lobotomized version of his previous persona. It was like he was scared to let his freak out, and in turn failed to provide anything that would captivate more than 261 live viewers at one time. He went back to one of his major selling points in the past, the random after-hours call to a random person from a news story. Instead of being a prick in this version, he was more laid back, telling the lawyer he called, don't ask, that his viewers absolutely loved her, and he wanted to cordially invite her to appear on his show and talk about civil rights in a dignified manner. In the old days, it would be a setup to pounce on the woman and attempt to get into her pants in a creepy, chilly way. Under the new persona, he'd be treated to the woman staring blankly at him as he goes off into another tepid speech about the police officers being bad and how his trifold will correct all of the sins in the world. This is not the Chili DeCastro anyone wanted. This is zero sugar, zero substance Chili, half the man of the previous Chili with none of the fun. And it's killing his channel. Yay? Read jury names to remain sealed. Aidan Turtleboy Kearney was mentioned directly in a John Doe filing by a member of the Karen Reed jury, who sought and was granted an order by Judge Beverly Cannoni to have the names of the jury members remain sealed. The juror petitioned the court earlier on Thursday, as Kearney was in the process of tweeting out more details about members of the jury, including that an alternate juror was pregnant during the entire trial, her profession, and her identifying clothing. Kearney had previously tweeted details of what he claimed to be the jury foreman, along with the profession of that juror. The blogger obtained said information from being allowed to cover the trial as a journalist, despite having active charges of felony witness intimidation against him, which were not disclosed to the jury. The motion from the juror included an affidavit that he or she was in fear of retaliation for not clearing Karen Reed of any of the 3 charges she faced, as the jury could not come to a unanimous decision on any of the charges. This was also a blow to the defense, as lead defense attorney Alan Jackson is now claiming that they've indirectly heard from 6 jurors that say there were unanimous decisions in clearing Reed of leaving the crime scene after knowingly hitting victim John O'Keefe with her car and second-degree murder of O'Keefe. No jurors have filed affidavits to back Jackson's claims. Judge Canone issued a 2-page ruling on Thursday indicating that there was a clear and credible threat to jurors of having their identities exposed and that she would seal the information about the jury until further notice. Her ruling indicated that jurors could come forward and identify themselves if they wished to. However, due to credible threats, the court would not assist in identifying the rest of the jury. The ruling also saw a huge backlash online from Kearney and his supporters, including Larry the DUI guy foreman, who attacked the juror for being brainwashed by the prosecution into making the charges against Kearney. Kearney did admit to making the statement to his followers that anyone who did not find Reed innocent of the charges she faced was an idiot, but denied making even implied threats towards anyone. He claimed that only members of the McCabe and Albert families have made threats, and backed it by airing a video of an Albert family member screaming at him during a heated confrontation outside of D&E Pizza. Kearney is facing felony witness intimidation charges from his alleged actions when he served as Karen Reed's unofficial director of propaganda last year. His pretrial hearing involving those charges is set for August. Hanging over Canone's decision comes Monday's hearing in the Reed case, as both sides are set to meet to determine a path forward in the announced retrial of Reed. The jury in the previous trial determined it could not move forward, and a mistrial had been announced earlier this month. Reed's lawyers are pushing for an investigation of the jury's findings following their claims of the 12-0 exoneration of Reed of the 2 charges. They are moving to have Judge Canone declare Reed innocent of those charges based on their supposed findings, claiming double jeopardy laws would prevent Reed from being retried. The next hearing in the case is set for Monday, July 22, 2024. Flashback July 19, 2023, DeCastro promises to end fans GoFundMe. Jose Chile DeCastro went live on Tuesday with another in his sparsely attended Let's Watch Some Videos series, drawing a concerning 236 total viewers out of his 222,000 subscribers to his live stream, which translates into 0.11% of his total possible viewers. Once on a path to achieve 250,000 viewers by the end of the month, which would fit his claim that his channel now draws 50,000 new subscribers a month, DeCastro's numbers for his main channel have fallen off significantly since July 4th, now averaging a little over 1,000 new subscribers a day without increasing his viewership numbers for his live streams. Curiously, much like his average attendance to his live, his total viewership of recent live events has not increased, his current live stream drawing a little under 1.5% of his total possible viewership. DeCastro didn't address his declining viewership as he started his broadcast, focusing more on his appearance and greeting the same group of people who appear in his side chat with each live stream. DeCastro talked about his graying temples and thinning hair as a natural part of the aging process for the first few minutes of the live stream. The intended topic of the broadcast was to provide a critique of a months-old video created by Christopher Direct D. Ruff, DeCastro continuing his practice of using someone else's footage without permission and violating his own legal claims of how the practice, when others do it with videos taken from his channel, is against copyright law. The homeless YouTuber hit Direct D for creating a stressful situation in which he and his multiple camera people approached a single officer from all angles, resulting in the officer calling for backup from other police units. He then criticized Direct D for not showcasing the multiple video angles from footage taken by the other auditors on the scene, stating that he wanted to see the other angles in order to better understand the audit. Ultimately, DeCastro approved that Direct D is a fellow alpha male and stated that while Direct D doesn't understand what he's doing yet, he'd come around to the right way of auditing. DeCastro again failed to mention his recent court losses with substantial setbacks in Ohio and Las Vegas this week, and instead took the time to announce that his constitutional law scholar program would soon be launching, and he would be providing the opportunity to teach others how to obtain the fictional role of constitutional law scholar. The stream ended as DeCastro announced he would be holding another fundraiser on July 21st for the disabled Tacoma-based fan in search of a new wheelchair and Oricam visual assistant. DeCastro stated that Friday's fundraiser would be the last one for the fan, asserting that he would reach the goals with his viewers' money or end up paying the balance himself. GoFundMe, fake DeCastro fund takes the day. A day so horrible that I'll get cold chills remembering it for the rest of the hour. A day so bad that I can't even comprehend it. Not only did our hate watcher abandon us, but a fake fund took the day with the only donation. We were so close. Goose egg after goose egg after goose egg. LIA gooses, DMA gooses, Direct D gooses, Chili 1, Chili 2, Chili 3, Chili 4. Oh, those glorious goose eggs. Fake chili has a pop. Wait, that can't be. Fake chili never has a pop. Check again. The figures are correct. There's been a donation. But by whom? It's a real person. But why? We were so close to goose eggs I could hear them crowing. But what is this? How, where, why, whom? Don't they know it's fake? The sounds of my brain falling to the wayside cannot be captured in terms humans can comprehend. Someone gave the fake support delete laws from the tyranny he fights fund $20. I could have taken losing our glorious day one of goose eggs to a DeCastro account, DMA, or one of the others, including the god-awful Henry, but this? A fake account? Someone scamming off a Jose Chili DeCastro gets the $20 that is hard work, patience, and wait. It's Chili we're talking about. Money out of his pocket into the arms of a scammer? We can get behind this, can't we? Not only has he fallen to the point where no one bothered to donate to his big party in Las Vegas in tribute to himself fund, all that money, all that glorious, glorious money went to a fake account. I've written many times now how his return is failing and failing spectacularly. It's only been 6 days back on the air, and we're at the point where either his fans have stopped caring about his big party, or he's turned so many people off that it's going to be hard to make it to $10,000, let alone the $100,000 he says he needs to fund his lawsuit against the state of Nevada. Yes, folks, we can't forget, every dime supposedly going to this campaign is an investment in a lawyer so Jose Chile de Castro can get paid for his time falsely imprisoned in the Clark County Detention Center. That $100,000 investment is supposed to bring back a payout 10 times the size of the investment. Taxpayers in Nevada will have to foot the bill for it, of course, with higher taxes and seeing him throw parties for himself in downtown Vegas, and nothing will change. If he's willing to throw 10% of even a minimum settlement away on a tribute to himself, do you really think he's going to invest it in getting rid of torture cuffs and funding lobbyists for his campaign to get rid of policing in America? The very thought of him getting a dime from the people in Nevada, wrongly convicted or not, reaffirms the belief that the money is better off in the pocket of the scammer. Here's to you, scammer boy. Hammer boy is not worthy. Take all the mad ducats and make sure there's tears in the chili for another day. Since we're not monetized, if you'd like to join our daily hate watcher in manipulating the fabric of reality while forcing us to write this column every day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Netflix announces Karen Read docuseries. Netflix's surprise announcement that they were producing a 3-part documentary on the Karen Read case stunned the participants in the ongoing Karen Read drama, as one side predictably launched into attacks on production almost immediately after the announcement was made. Sandpaper Films is producing the docuseries, which will feature the events in the 3 days leading up to John O'Keefe's death. It's currently untitled and will be directed by Danielle Johnson and Rob Miller. That is literally all that is known about production at this time. Since then, members of the Free Karen Read movement have denounced the production in unison. Netflix's production has been rumored to be working with the family of John O'Keefe for some time before the announcement was made, which also drew the ire of the pro-Karen Read group. One member of the Free Karen Read movement announced that another production had been on scene since the trial, and it was the true production. He then said that the Netflix production was worthless and no one should watch it. Accusations by Aidan Turtleboy Kearney and the Free Karen Reed movement are now claiming that only people associated with the McCabe, Albert, and O'Keefe families have made harassing comments, threats, and active intimidation against anyone. Besides the supposed lynching of a turtle outside of Kearney's parents' house, new accusations have come that someone is pouring bleach on the front lawns of leading members of the Free Karen Reed movement. The implied culprit, of course, is allegedly Kate Peter, who is the boogeyman and mother of all evil to the group. No nemesis to Kearney, Peter had been rumored to have ties with the Netflix production, with rumors spread by the Free Karen Reed group that she's received consulting fees and her friends are all on the take for involvement in the production. Peter did release a tweet confirming that Karen Reed had no involvement with this particular documentary, despite initial claims otherwise by members of the Free Karen Reed movement. Kearney and Peter have been at odds for years after Peter quit working for Kearney's Turtle Boy organization. Kearney has a protection order out against Kate Peter for harassment charges, and Peter's trial for supposedly violating the protection order is in the pre-trial phase. A mistrial was recently declared in Karen Reed's first trial for allegedly murdering boyfriend John O'Keefe in 2022 by hitting him with their SUV and leaving him to die in a snowstorm. The next hearing date is set for Monday. Benson and Cordova audit Sheriff's Office. Self-proclaimed First Amendment auditors Regan Benson and Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova audited the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office in Centennial, Colorado on Friday afternoon and attempted to follow up on body cam footage and an internal affairs complaint Benson had previously made at the office. Benson explained that earlier in the week she had been at the Arapahoe County Courthouse and got into a confrontation with security guards where she was briefly detained. Describing her actions as being civil and peaceful, she found fault with the guards' reaction to her refusal to obey the no filming in the courthouse rule and was surprised as she found that her insults hurled at them were not taken as a form of respect as she intended them to be. Getting past security that day, she said she used the bathroom and found two security officers waiting for her when she exited the bathroom. They apparently detained her after she took out her phone and began recording them in violation of the general order prohibiting recording in the building. Despite her recent $130,000 payment from Denver, Benson said she attempted to put her phone away as she can't afford another lawsuit. While she's been threatening to sue Englewood, Colorado in retaliation for not getting her way on policies she'd like to see implemented and people she'd like to get fired, she apparently backed down from confronting the court system over a rule that has been constantly upheld across the nation. Benson immediately traveled to the county sheriff's office to file a complaint against the security officers that day. She praised the internal affairs officer who took her to a private office and listened patiently to her complaints. Benson also complained bitterly about the fees involved in getting body cam footage, which was apparently the point of Friday's video. The First Amendment auditor checked in on her complaint and to see if the body cam footage was available, receiving a copy of the complaint, which she read on camera. While she was reading, Cordova remembered that he had a negative encounter with the woman helping Benson years ago and proceeded to confront her about it. Cordova claimed that the woman was rude in helping him obtain body cam footage and that nothing was ever done to fill his order, which he put a deposit in on. Then he wasn't sure if anything had happened, but he knew he wanted a refund. He wasn't sure when exactly the incident happened, he wasn't sure how much he paid, and he was sure he didn't give his name or identifying information other than an email address when he made the request. Then he couldn't find the reference number, but wanted a refund and wanted a refund right now. And then another worker recognized him and reminded him that he came back to the office to follow up on the claim and told her that he had an attorney who was going to get the footage through discovery and that they should cancel his request. As the fees for body cam footage are non-refundable, he did not receive his money back at that time. To further placate his childish antics, the original woman gave him a form to fill out in order to request a refund. She said she would attempt to track down the case number he was referring to and see if she could give him the requested refund. Benson and Cordova then left the office, with Benson giving the sheriff's department a barely passing grade. She liked the interaction between the workers they encountered, but took points off as the request form for body cam footage and records request warned that the information was not to be used for commercial purposes. That was incorrect, according to Benson, who said that it only applied to lawyers and should have noted that. She then mentally took off points from her grading chart, which was not shared with her audience, for the mistruths. She also spent time ranting about how the fees for body cam footage in Colorado were horrible before ending the live stream. Flashback July 20th, 2023, DeCastro laps his way through graphic video again. A clearly overjoyed Jose Maria DeCastro returned to the case of a Texas man who lost his leg in a confrontation with police in April during his Wednesday night livestream, offering his insights on the graphic footage. The man filed suit against the Zapata County Sheriff's Department on July 12th and is seeking $500,000 in compensation for his medical bills, which led to DeCastro's previous coverage of the case. DeCastro's previous livestream on the subject saw him laugh and joke through 2 late-night prank calls to the Zapata County Sheriff's Office in the guise of providing journalistic coverage of the situation. Observers noted that Wednesday night's broadcast wasn't much better, as DeCastro giggled his way through the not-safe-for-work footage. DeCastro again showed a basic misunderstanding of hygiene, as he chastised police officers for putting protective gloves on in order to handle the bloody crime scene, questioning why the officer on the body cam used multiple pairs of protective gloves when working different parts of the scene. DeCastro expressed concern for the live stream being demonetized, as he accused police officers of covering up the crime scene as they cleaned up the man's blood at the scene. The homeless YouTuber recommitted himself to the rule of law and claimed that he would act to protect a police officer's life if someone attacked a tyrannical thug pig in front of him. He then showed a video of a man being killed by police as he attacked an officer in Fairfax, Virginia. For those looking for updates on DeCastro's multiple legal losses, he showed remarkable restraint for the second week in a row, avoiding the topic completely in Wednesday night's live stream. DeCastro's broadcast drew 213 live viewers out of his 224,000 subscribers, or 0.095% of his possible subscribers, without explanation of why the addition of 1,000 new subscribers in the past day actually saw his live viewership decrease significantly from Tuesday night's live stream.